Hey y'all, this is episode number 25, and a big episode. It's the first conversation with an interesting person. I had my buddy Adam Paris on to talk about his small business that he started, and we dove into a bunch of politics and whatnot as well. So it's a really fun conversation. We both had a good time doing it. There is a tiny amount of language used. I think I can count on one hand the amount of cuss words that came out, but I did want to just give fair warning that in this hour and almost a half long conversation, there are a few cuss words. So fair warning on that. Thank you to Flavor Aid for creating the intro music you're about to hear. Their EP, All My Life, is available on Spotify and anywhere you stream music. So please go ahead and check that out. And please enjoy this conversation with a very interesting person. All right, so this is the first ever conversation with an interesting person here on the Sovereign Individual Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Guerra. Thanks again for joining us today. I've got a good friend of mine who brought his lovely little dog over, Jelly Bean. She's a little cutie. Stay over there. And then, so he is a small business owner. He's a beautiful looking man, a good friend of mine, like I said earlier. Welcome, Adam Paris, to the show.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Thanks for calling me beautiful and interesting.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to have you here. So what's the deal, Peace? How you doing?
Doing real good, man. Just hanging out. Eric and I are neighbors. I just hang out right across the street there, so I was just probably the easiest person to get a hold of to do this. So either way, I'm here. Good to be here, too. It's an honor.
Yeah, well, you're supportive of the podcast, too, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
And you got some interesting stuff that we can talk about today. So before we jump into, like, the business and everything, let's talk about you and, where you came from, how you grew up, everything like that. So you grew up in Louisiana and Arkansas?
Yes, sir. Yeah, born and raised Louisiana. Lived in Arkansas just a couple years briefly in high school. Best friends with a lot of guys that live here now. You're, of course, friends with them, Tyler, Brennan, all them boys, Big Bree. But no, just moved here when I was about 19, here to Austin. Had a shitty little job that just wasn't cutting it, like just after school care, making next to nothing, working next to no hours. Moved away, went to Louisiana, tried to get my feet back on the ground, figured out waiting tables, tried that for the first time and was like, wow, I can actually like pay rent with this. So with that knowledge, I came right back to Austin a year later when I was about 21, and I've been here pretty much ever since. So about the last 13 years.
Yeah, you actually you got me my first waiting job as well.
That's right.
Appreciate that. Good old Hyde Park Bar and Grill right here in Austin, Texas.
Yes, sir, right down the road there.
Yeah, somehow I've lived in Hyde Park twice now in my time in Austin. I never worked at Hyde Park Bar and Grill when I lived here and could have like walked or ridden a bike. I only worked there when I lived like 10 miles away. But
yeah.
Anyway, so I know you were in school for nursing, I think, whenever I first met you.
Oh, yes, sir. Whew. That was, I tried that out. Not for me. I made it all the way to clinicals, which if you've ever done nursing, that's like the hardest part. You make it to clinicals. And not to say clinicals is easy, but once you've made it that far, you're pretty much, you're going to try to ride it out. But I had a different experience, saw too many open wounds and just people unwilling to help themselves out, when you're trying to help them. So I was just like, man, maybe this isn't for me. Kind of fell into the TV business, started working for a buddy of ours who kind of just needed someone to help him lift TVs. So that's kind of how I got involved with that 6 years ago, and basically just... It's been a wild ride ever since.
Yeah. Old Craig.
Yeah.
I think all of us have helped him with his TVs at some point, being friends with him. So how did it come about where you started your own TV wall mounting business? That's what Adam does. He hangs TVs. Well, not just TV. Like you do sound systems and stuff too. So let's talk about that a bit.
So basically, started off helping Craig out. Things weren't going exactly the way I wanted to. Care about Craig. He's a good guy. He's got his philosophies in business and I've got mine. So kind of just branched off after about 4.5 years working with him. Thought I had the confidence to take on my own business. Took the plunge about 1.5 years ago. Found a financier and a partner and we did it. Went and bought all our parts, bought our trademarks, set up our tax stuff, and got going.
Nice. Yeah. So Bat City TV is the name of the company.
Yes, sir.
I love this shirt, by the way. Everybody who's seen me wear it loves it too.
Thank you.
They're asking a bunch of questions about it. So you started out on this venture. The financier actually, didn't he use Bitcoin in order to do this, right?
He did. He was one of the first first person to ever mention Bitcoin to me. This was back in probably 2012, 2013. I was living with the guy. He's just started ordering these parts, come in these boxes, just little, computer chips and a computer part here or there. And he started just building this contraption in the front of his house. And, I was like, what's going on here, man? He's like, oh, mining Bitcoin. I was like, mining Bitcoin? He's like, yeah. And he kind of broke it down to me. I was like, okay, cool. Didn't really think much of it, kind of, as I'm sure most wouldn't at that time. We fast forward, what is it, like 5-6 years later, to 2017, the end of 2017, is when it hit, like 19,000?
Yeah, it got up to, January 2018 is when it hit 20,000 before.
Yeah, and so he actually, around the time that was spiking is when he was feeling giving and was like, hey man, I see you're kind of struggling with your business. You don't seem happy. You seem like you got, things you want to do and then things that are happening at work. Let me make it happen for you. So he put some money down. He made it happen, man. And so he's helped my dream come true, the American dream.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And then you've got one other employee as well, right?
Yes, sir. He's a co-worker of mine. I wouldn't call him an employee. He's a partner. Joe, my right-hand guy. He actually wrote your music intro, huh?
Yeah. He did that.
Yeah, really talented guy. He's in like 3 bands. Couldn't ask for a better partner.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk about like the process of setting it up. A small business, like it's not just an easy undertaking.
No, it's not. I definitely had my nights of just kind of waking up in a panic, just being like, oh man, this is not gonna work, kind of deal, because you're throwing all your money in a hat, saying here's these tools, we'll go out and buy a logo, talk to some people, make a logo. That's actually the fun stuff, going out and meeting local artists and stuff.
Yeah.
These guys brought us this big portfolio of all these logos. We got to pick one out, a couple of them out, picked out a color scheme, and made the shirts like Eric mentioned. We actually have I'm a big Batman fan, so got black shirts, yellow logo right in the middle. Our logo is basically a bat. It's a symmetric bat TV logo, so it kind of looks like Batman's uniform when we're going to work. But we just kind of got everything rounded up. The hardest part is just getting your name out there. People don't know who you are. They're like, all right, why should you be the guy to hang my TV? And you got to let them know without them knowing you.
Yeah. No, for sure, and especially like you're inviting that person into your home. They're messing with your
cutting
house.
Their walls. Yeah. We actually some things like you kind of live and you learn. You start hiring people to do different stuff. And one of the companies we hired to do our website, I kind of let them do their thing because I thought they knew what they're doing, but they had a lot of errors on the website, spelling errors. And one of the things they put was, "We know it's hard to let a stranger in your house. We have trusted technicians." I was like, dude, don't even put that idea in their head. What are y'all doing? So we changed all that, got rid of them.
Yeah.
Working with another company now. But yes, it's one of the things you gotta, you may have signed up for this tax thing over here, and you're like, all right, cool, I signed up and filed for that tax thing, but you may get that tax thing back in the mail a few months later, and it's like, oh, you're supposed to staple this little piece of paper to it and then send it to us. And it's like, well, you have the paper. So
yeah,
it's just a lot of little bureaucratic stuff like that, but it teaches you patience, and you kind of stick-to-itiveness. But yeah.
Oh man, yeah, bureaucratic stuff does not
does not bode well on this podcast.
No. So that's interesting. So how long did it take throughout the process to get like kind of fully, obviously you're operating at the time, but
sure,
so where you're fully like a business, I guess, in their mind.
Yeah, it's hard to say when that moment was. It's hard to say if it's even now. There's weeks that are slower than others. It's just kind of, you gotta save your pennies and just hold your ass and get ready for the ride. Really, man. Like I had my 3 biggest jobs this week. They all canceled. Some of them rescheduled. One of them canceled. Which I'll get to one of those.
Yeah.
You basically set me up on this one, but
oh no.
You know, like that's like $2,200 come out of our out of our money this week that was supposed to go towards bills, paychecks, you know. So there's stuff like that happens. You just gotta kind of roll with it. But, you know.
So like if shit goes down, you're not getting a paycheck, right? Is that kind of the way the deal works?
Yeah, I mean, I make sure I get something. But, you know, sometimes you don't get as much as you think you're gonna get, and payroll taxes they're pretty brutal, especially if like you see the total amount going into something and the amount it spits out at the end. You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Wish I didn't know that.
Yeah, right? It changes. I think people would feel a lot differently about taxes if they actually had to cut the check to the IRS instead of just having them draw it out.
Yeah.
Which is always a funny thing, too, because the IRS is like, here, do your taxes. You got to get the number right.
Right.
And if you guess it wrong, we're going to be mad at you and fine you, even though we know the number from the jump and could just tell you.
Yeah. I mean, come on, guys.
Is that how it is with kind of payroll taxes as well? How does that work exactly?
Payroll taxes just basically... I forget the exact numbers. Don't quote me. I think it's 7.5% per employee, and then 7 is matched by the company. So roughly 15% of each employee's gross income. Mm-hmm. It takes out 15%, and then the company has to pay the other half of what the matches what the employee pays. Okay. But yeah, it's a lot. It comes out to a lot, man, and it really like I said, seeing the number first and then seeing the number it spits out is very eye opening, and makes me respect your libertarian ways.
Yeah, well, that's the hope. It's kind of one of those things. Whenever I'm talking to people too, I realize that they don't actually kind of grasp that either. Whenever like politicians are loving to throw out like Amazon doesn't pay taxes. It's like, no, dude, they pay $2 billion in payroll taxes. Like, you're just mad that they're not paying on profit. Right. They're paying a lot of taxes.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot about that kind of stuff too, where you can basically, if you're Amazon, you can basically claim depreciation on your vehicles. There's so many different little factors that factor in. Like, here's your taxable income. Is like, well, here's depreciation on all this stuff that they have. And they get to claim that, and then all kind of stuff. It's pretty nuts, and it does suck that they don't pay more, in a way. But at the same time, the rules are there for them to mingle and move around, and if they can do it, why wouldn't they?
70,000 page tax code. It kind of leaves open stuff. And the other thing I tell people too is like I realize that, but also like they operated at a loss for 13 years. So it's like, I mean, I get they're making insane amount of money now, but it's also like they paid their dues in a lot of ways. But no, that's really interesting. So how difficult was it dealing with the bureaucracy to set up this side business? Like, if you didn't have like the financial backing or anything like that, do you think this would have been something that you would have been able to do?
Yeah, it would have been a lot more guerrilla style. Just like, go buy a set of tools, like kind of the bare minimum, and then just kind of put myself out there in any way I could. I still had excuse me, take a sip of beer here.
Yeah. Go ahead. We're drinking
I still had a lot of the contacts from my previous job.
Yeah.
Like just people that had my number, my email, and so there were a few people that kind of residuals that were wanted me to come take care of them, and I did that. But and that's kind of how I would start it if I were just start by myself.
Yeah.
And then you kind of show up to a job and you're like, oh, well, we need this tool now. You go to Home Depot, grab that tool, then you got it. And it would have been a lot more tedious to set up, and I don't think I'd be where I am now if I didn't have that initial investment, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd still be kind of grinding out, trying to figure. And also, he paid to set us up with a CPA. Which is where I learned a lot of this stuff from. Was our CPA is a really great guy. He actually took some time out, spent like an hour with us, invited us to his office, pulled out the whiteboard. Here's how taxes work, kind of broke it all down for us, and so learned a lot from him. So definitely would have been a different experience had I not had someone set me up.
Yeah, because you would have been trying to do all the work and then also dealing with all this other stuff, trying to figure it out. That's kind of why And one of the many reasons why I hate bureaucracy so much is it feels like it's almost a pay-to-play type thing, where if you don't have at least some kind of backing, it makes
Right.
it difficult to you just kind of start a business.
Yeah, for sure.
Get things going.
Absolutely.
So y'all do TV mounting and also, well, I mean, y'all do
TV
like sound
mounting.
stuff too, right?
Yeah, home audio. Basically, I can control your whole home audio from your phone. Anything you want to hear, you turn it up in this room, turn it down in that room, turn it off outside, whatever you want to do. Home theaters. I really enjoy doing the home theaters.
Yeah,
Did one the other
imagine.
day. This guy had like 13 speakers.
Wow.
Had a $10,000 projector, like
Oh.
$8,000 screen.
Wow.
This thing was bad. We watched the opening scene to Saving Private Ryan, which is
Oh.
the scene you want to watch.
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
this theater. Just like it was insane. I also do a little bit of networking, hang antenna, stuff like that. So just anything you need around your house that's low voltage that you wouldn't need an electrician for, I pretty much can get it done for you.
Nice. So that's and most of it's just kind of like self-taught in a lot of ways, right? Like just kind of through
Yeah, yeah.
experimentation and learning it.
Exactly. I kind of learned on the fly from the last place I worked. Like I said, we started with Craig, the other company. He taught me some things, but he also let me learn them on my own. Just
Yeah.
kind of crash and burn, right in front of customers, just cutting into their walls and making sparks fly out of. It's not an easy. It's an unsettling feeling. But yeah, you kind of learn this stuff on the fly, and you basically learn what not to do, and learn how to avoid. Just when customers will ask for the world, and you
Oh,
have to be
yeah,
able to say,
bet.
"I'm sorry, I can't do that."
Yeah. Well, because I mean, yeah, y'all aren't electricians, so
Right.
you're limited in that regard. Like, I can't start rewiring stuff in your house,
Right,
and
right,
in your
right.
wall. You're not plumbers, so you can't start messing with any of the plumbing in the walls either. So yeah, I mean, imagine it's, people want a specific thing, what they've got in their minds,
Right.
And they're like, how come you can't just make this happen?
Speaking of plumbers, I'll tell you a nightmare story of mine.
Oh, yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much
yeah.
the
Let's hear
worst
it.
thing that's ever happened.
Oh no, okay, yeah.
Pretty much the worst thing that's ever happened. So it was when I was working with Craig, and we're working at these people's house. We're installing some speakers up in their ceiling in their living room. They just got a brand new wood floor, floor, and like nice new furniture. We mounted their TV for them, and we're drilling holes we're cutting holes for the speakers. Well, we need to drill holes through the beams in between the floors to run the speaker wire. Well, Craig starts drilling through one of them. Excuse me. Starts drilling through one of them, and all of a sudden they hear.
Are these exposed beams or they're in the wall?
They're in the wall. They're between
Okay.
floors.
Okay.
So between the first and second floor.
Oh, no.
He's drilling. All of a sudden you hear. Psst, there's this water just spraying him right in the face. He's like, oh no. So I'm just in awe. I can't believe what I'm seeing at this point. I'm just staring. And Craig goes, you got to do something. And I was like, So I start looking around. As I'm looking around the room, I notice there's a can light across the room that has water dripping out of it. So a can light 20 feet away has water just coming out of it. I was like, oh no. And so I'm just kind of scrambling. I'm trying to grab the family's blankets and throw them on the floor. Just like, I don't know what to do, man.
Yeah.
And so,
Like, how much is coming out at this point?
it's a lot, man. It's not a drip. It's like a pretty steady,
a flow.
If you were to turn your faucet on to like just starting to flow.
Yeah.
So it
Wow.
starts coming out of the fan. The mom is like
All this electrical stuff.
Yeah, dude,
Oh,
the
no.
mom is outside, and the dad is just showing up. It's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, no.
So the dad's walking up to the door. The whole family's walking up to the door. Our friend Travis, who's on the job with us, he runs up to the door and he goes, "Don't come in here." He closes the door. Dude, the family was so nice. They listened to him. They actually went
What?
on a family stroll. The mom, the dad, and the 2 kids, they went on a little stroll for like 20 minutes.
What?
And I guess
Wow.
the lady thought we were going to surprise the dad with like
Oh, no.
everything being done, when in fact we destroyed their living room. So yeah, they come home like 20 minutes later and we're like, we're sorry. Like,
Is it like flood? Like, is
it's
there water?
flooded. There's water damage all over the floor. We had to cut out half the ceiling.
Is it like, are you walking in it, or like, is it kind of?
It's close, man. Like there's certain
Yeah.
spots where you're just like,
It's
you
like
know,
a
a half
puddle.
inch thick.
Oh
but, like,
man.
so yeah, so like these people were so nice, man. They made us pizza while we cleaned up.
Oh my god.
And at the end
were
of
you
it
able
all,
to like? Are you able to get the water to stop at some point? Or no?
yeah, we went out to the yard. If you ever get into this problem, folks, you run out to the yard. Most people's yards have a little water shut-off valve in the yard.
Okay.
So that's how you do it.
Okay.
But at the end of it all, these people were on the way out the door, and the lady goes, "Well, the TV looks nice."
Wow. So couldn't have happened to
Yeah. No.
better people, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right.
And then I'm guessing, like insurance, like you bring in insurance
Yes.
at that
yes.
point.
I didn't own that company, so that was the company I worked for. The insurance took care. Yeah.
Oh,
insurance had to
man.
take care of that.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
because that's a ton of damage.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, that's wow. I can't even imagine. That's awesome that they were so chill about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's that big of a catastrophe, you might just like. There's a party that's probably just like, oh man, this poor guy, these poor guys. You know, like it's just a human side just kind of comes out of them. I guess just
Yeah.
what,
So,
what
like,
else can you do?
Okay, so how far? Like, I'm trying to picture it because is there any way to like detect plumbing like pipes in the walls
So,
to avoid or
The,
like,
the reason this was bad is because he went pretty high up on the beam inside the wall, and where he went, there was some pipes and stuff, but they was still like 6 inches from where he was drilling, except for one. It wasn't a pipe; it was more like a hose.
Okay.
That was kind of like it was tacked, but then it like dipped down and then went back up.
Is that what he clipped?
Mhm.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I was like, I feel like you would feel a pipe.
It was one that was like
Before you
stapled
punctured it.
to the it was just perfect storm.
Okay, that makes because I was like, damn, that's a powerful drill. If he didn't even feel the pipe before puncturing.
Right. It was brutal.
Man, okay, so that's good. That's good to know about the water shutoff valve too. Like that might help some people out here at some point. So, okay, so then like y'all like crawl around in attics and stuff too, right?
Try not to. It's too hot. We have on our Yelp page we have almost 60 reviews, all of which are 5-star except for 2. One's 4-star because one of the guys' HDMI didn't work. I told him I'd come replace it, but he never hit me up. Another guy gave us 2 stars because he called me and he's like, hey, I'm getting an attic antenna installed. I need y'all to install. I was like, man, you can stop right there. I was like, it's too hot this summer. We're not doing attics. We got enough work. I'm really sorry. If you want to revisit that in the fall, we can take care of you, And so we ended the call. Get a notification 2 minutes later. It's like 2-star review. These guys wouldn't even take my job. Blah blah blah. I was like, come on, man.
It's not a normal job, dude.
Yeah. So I kind of explained it to him. I was like, look, man, by giving us a 2-star review, you're kind of messing with our livelihood. Like, over something like this.
Yeah.
So he bumped it up to a 3-star review.
Oh well, I mean, okay.
So,
Yo, dude, it's really like that South Park episode. It's
it
crazy.
really is, man.
It's so nuts.
Golly, dude, that might be. You mentioned earlier with some of the harder parts about starting a business, and dude, being a slave to your Yelp page.
Yeah.
For the first, I don't know, 6 months to a year until
Yeah.
you get really established, because you got 5 reviews, you get one that's 1-star, you're done.
Yeah, people are like, oh,
Especially in this kind of
That's
business.
20%.
We're not a restaurant. People more likely review restaurants, but when it comes to contract work, it can really hurt you. But yeah, being a slave to the Yelp, man, that is the worst. It is the absolute worst.
Well, and the hard part is too, like, obviously y'all have had more than 60 customers, like probably 3 times as many, if
Right.
not more.
Oh yeah.
But most people, I'm guilty of this too. I've tried to start to get better, especially when it comes to small businesses, because I know it's such a big deal. But like, if I don't review for bad experiences either,
Right.
Because I could just be a single person having a bad day. It's not necessarily a reflection of the company. If it's like every single time, then that might be a little bit more of a reflection.
Oh, yeah.
But like a single bad incident isn't worth it. But like I've tried to start doing when I have good ones too, because most of the time, if you have a good experience, you're just like, you're satisfied with it and you're happy with it, so you don't really think to go any further than that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. People. I was gonna say people are less likely to write good reviews, but that's not true because we have all good reviews.
Yeah.
Just some people are into it, man. Some people just they get on a kick. I get on kicks too. Like, Your girlfriend actually introduced me to the Ibotta app, where
Oh,
you get
yeah.
money back
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah.
purchases and stuff.
Yeah,
and like,
save all of our receipts when.
oh yeah,
whenever I go
I'm all
grocery
into that.
shopping.
I get on. I was on a super Ibotta kick for a while. Now I still use it, but like when I
Yeah.
first got it, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get all the bonuses.
Yeah, she was saying it kind of like tapers out pretty quickly after,
Yeah.
after the initial part of it. No, it is. I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, especially as a libertarian, like, I mean, as much as I don't like Yelp in a lot of ways, like, in a lot of ways, it's like, yeah, this is kind of a almost regulatory type thing. Same with like Angie's List or the Better Business Bureau. It's like these are these organizations that are acting outside of like the government, and they're providing like a service
Right.
as to like, you know, how reliable is this particular business,
Right.
and like,
Yeah,
you know, what kind of complaints do they have.
yeah, makes sense.
So it's kind of but Yelp is, it's like I think it's like the Facebook of reviewing
the one that
sites.
kind of just got hijacked by all the trolls and just
Yeah.
oh man.
I think my favorite description of Facebook is somebody was like, remember back in like 2009 when Facebook was a lot of fun before our parents got on, and then it got super racist.
Oh man, I saw one. It was a while back. It was during the 2015 campaign, or maybe it was during 2016, whatever. He's like,
Yeah.
back in the day, your parents would be like, "Don't believe everything you see on TV," and then 2016, they're like, "Did you see on American Eagle Facebook that Hillary created AIDS?"
Oh man, it's so true. Some of those boomer memes and those boomer sites are so much fun.
Yeah.
They're just it's really interesting. Like, I go on Facebook a couple times a week on my phone just to make sure there's nothing that requires my attention. I would prefer to be off it altogether, but like stuff I do with Libertarian Party, a lot of communication happens via Facebook, or like, you know, events will come up.
There's always one little something, and I'm not picking on you, but I do
Yeah.
it too. But there's always one little something that keeps you on these things. Like,
This.
for example, Facebook for me, my buddy Trey, he lives in China, and that's like, well, for a long time that was the main way I talked to him. Now it's a lot easier for him to talk on like a text thread, but for the longest time that was the only way to talk to him as frequently as we did was just through Facebook. Yeah, man, I took those off my phone because I would just mindlessly, you know, I'm in the middle of doing work and I should be doing
Yeah.
something productive. I would mindlessly just go to, I'm like, why am I looking at this? I don't need to know this, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing with Instagram, Instagram, man.
Oh, man, dude.
I think that shit is the devil.
It's
Honestly,
so bad. It's like,
it's bad. It's a factory for creating insecurities in people, and I'm not saying like that's innately what it is, but it's become that. Like, people can't help but post the best part of their lives. That's just like a natural thing they're going to do. But at the same time, like, I get depressed sometimes. Looking like, dude, how is everyone I know perpetually on vacation?
dude, yeah, like, how do you afford that? And then what you don't see is like the crippling debt that they have that they're like living with, and
just the selective moments of their lives they pick.
No.
You know, it's
I think it's like a huge same with like kind of like dating apps and stuff too. I think it acts as like a huge like ego like stroking
absolutely
for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Like you're saying, like you're only showing the best part. You're like, oh, aren't you jealous that I'm on this awesome vacation? You're like, yeah, I kind of am. To be honest, like I am. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
It is. It's fast. It's like Twitter is my favorite by far, mostly because like I follow a bunch of like politics stuff, and so it's honestly like stuff breaks there
Sure.
before anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's such like an interesting dichotomy because you can follow a bunch of like independent journalists and stuff too. So you're getting things that you're not seeing, you know, in the mainstream media, or it might not show up for, you know, a couple of days.
So tell me this about Twitter. I don't use Twitter a lot, but I heard, and maybe this is just, you know, from the sources I saw, maybe they're not right or whatever, but I heard Twitter was kind of tanking a little bit, you know, in the middle part of the decade, and then Trump started running. And that was like, you know, of course, he's like the loudest person on Twitter. Do you think he has anything to do with it? Like, was it going to go away for one? Was it kind of like on the downslide? For two, do you think he's brought it back? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I think I can't say that it was really on the downside side. It didn't seem to be. It's always been less popular than the other ones for sure. I'm not sure what the exact like user numbers are, but it's smaller and it's more like, at least it has been for the longest time, and for the time I've been using it, it's kind of almost like the Wild West. Like there's no censorship for like porn. Like Instagram will kick people off for like, if you're wearing a shirt that somewhat shows your nipple, like it's gonna kick that picture off. Whereas like on Twitter, porn stars can have like full on videos of just like
interesting
everything.
Maybe I should be on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it definitely has blown up as a result of Trump because he tweets so much,
right?
And people are like, he's kind of deciding policy or exposing us to his decision making of policy via tweets, which has been really interesting. One of the things I can say that has been positive in this Trump administration is just this view into the inner workings of the White House that we've never seen before, because we've never had somebody who just has no filter and just whatever is going on just tweet about. And even Obama, like most of his tweets were from like a social media team and very like
right
obviously
very
like,
presidential.
Presidential, very like, they pieced it together properly, they wrote it out the right way, there's a definite message that they're trying to get out.
Probably several people spell checked it before it went out there.
Whereas Trump's just like firing from the hip, man. Like he's just
he is entertaining, I'll give him that. Not a huge fan, but it's definitely entertaining day to day. To like, it's made political podcasts and these late night talk shows has made them must listen to and must watch TV.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of it too. Like it made podcasts explode, and I think it's added to Twitter probably in a way that they weren't expecting, but in a lot of ways too. So part of that, they're facing problems now. They're banning a bunch of like individuals, and they're using AI kind of and algorithms to judge speech, and then eventually if it needs to be brought up, like humans come in and are making the decision. But it's like it gets into this weird place where you're a platform that gets to choose how you want to do things, how you want to run things, who you may or may not want to kick off, but in a lot of ways too, it's like, man, you can really like deperson someone. If you like a Alex Jones or a Laura Loomer, where it's a concentrated effort by all of them, and not even just like social media, like financial institutions too. It's like, man, what do you like? That's crazy. Like you could have a bank saying, no, you're not allowed access to your funds anymore because of your politics, and like you're not allowed to participate in the financial system anymore.
Well, that's a slippery slope,
right? Because that's the thing. Like right now, it's just like certain crazy quote unquote individuals and out there individuals, but it's like, man, they could, if they pull a social system like China's got going on, I would be one of the first people banned from a bunch of
if
stuff.
I were in charge, you'd be gone for sure.
yeah, I'm a bad apple for sure. But no, it's I'd suggest getting on Twitter. I enjoy it. It's the condensed, like you're 280 characters, so people are a little more condensed, although some people will go on like crazy Twitter threads where you like reply to your last tweet to like make a longer narrative. There's some dude when the Mueller report came out that had like a 470 some odd, and I was just like, dude, you need to just write an article, bro.
Right, seriously, at that point. The only time I do have a Twitter account. The only time I've ever used it, I usually turn it on during South by, or used to when I would do a lot more South by stuff. And even then, I would turn it on and be like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Then I would turn it off and erase it.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, too, because they're doing, like, they have this thing called shadow banning, where, like, they'll take certain individuals and just, like, even if you're following them, their tweet won't show up in your like, little thread or in your feed. And, like, and then they're doing stuff, too, like where they'll just unfollow people. Like you're
Twitter's
not
doing this to their users?
Yeah,
Okay.
like you won't unfollow them, but all of a sudden you won't be following them anymore. So it's been really interesting, and part of the problem too, I think, is as with any of this stuff, is there's just not a whole lot of transparency.
Right.
So we don't really know what's going on, and there hasn't risen. And that's the thing too. Whenever people, because a lot of people are freaking out about this, and I'm like, dude, I mean, I remember Zynga and MySpace, and those never looked like they were gonna be going down. And
Right.
then Facebook came along, so it's like there's something else coming.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like,
Yeah, when you start kind of messing with people's stuff like that, they're gonna get turned off. Especially in a, it sounds like people that use Twitter are more kind of like yourself, sovereign people that like to check out, that are more in tune with offbeat things as opposed to like mainstream stuff where they'll just take it.
Yeah.
So
Some people for sure. You get a lot of like mainstream, and that's the thing. You just get a lot of mixture. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I have no doubt that the next things coming, like as technology increases too. Like you got Elon Musk talking about neural links and all that kind of stuff, and Jelly Bean is being such a lady right now. It'll be fascinating to kind of just see where technology goes, and it could be used in a lot of bad ways if China or somebody like that is going to be doing the main part of the 5G infrastructure. Like there's going to be a lot of mechanisms built into that can like spy on you and collect your information and all that kind of stuff.
right.
So I'm not sure exactly what's going to be going. You are such a lady.
Yeah, Jelly Bean's taking over.
Yeah, she's
Running
all
around the
over
coffee
place.
table here.
She's on the coffee table. She's about to come say hi to Uncle Eric.
So you've been watching any of the Democratic debates?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what's your take? Well, let's
Oh,
hear.
man.
Let's hear Eric's fresh take.
I did 2 whole episodes on it.
Oh yeah.
Because it was well, I want to get your take on it. 'Cause
Okay.
You're a left-leaning guy.
Yeah, I'll probably vote for whoever this person is.
Yeah.
My take on it. I don't understand the Joe Biden appeal. I don't understand how he just. I do and I don't. I guess it's just for old school people. Someone, I guess it's more of a safe vote.
Yeah.
I guess because he's more name recognition. And I guess that's the reason he was just like instantly the number one in on their polls or whatever. But I don't know, man. I would like to see someone a little more fresh face. Someone with just some fresh ideas. I really like Mayor Pete.
Yeah.
I think he's the most practical. I think he means it. I think he does want to better society. I really do. He's a vet. Just really articulate guy, smart guy. He's he's a Rhodes Scholar.
Yeah.
So he's not without his flaws. He's got the whole incident with his police staff or something along the lines of.
Yeah, there was a shooting recently.
Right. He fired the black chief, but not the white chief or something like that.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, and that was something he was kind of grilled on. I don't quote me on this 100%. I may be butchering this, and someone's yelling at their phone right now. But yeah, I like Mayor Pete. I actually kind of like a lot of these people, man. I think it's Trump has brought out the best in some people, or just the I think at least like the, what do you call it, the activist side of people.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's one positive is that a lot more people want to be involved in politics. They're kind of like they're asking how it got to this point. And so they're wanting to be involved and pay attention more, which is kind of an interesting thing too, to see certain types of complaints coming out. It's like, dude, yeah, been saying this for a long time about this kind of stuff going on. So how do you feel though about, like, I don't know, obviously I'm not like a Democrat, but I feel like it would be, I'm interested in what it seems like from your point of view is like there seems to be a lot of movement way left, especially in a lot of these debates. And like, is that something that you're worried about?
I think it's just natural. People, equal and opposite reaction kind of thing. Trump's pretty extreme, so you're gonna get some pretty extreme left people out there. I don't know. I think it's interesting to throw some of these ideas around, though. I mean, I know some of them will probably never come to fruition, and some of them are just straight up not good ideas.
Yeah.
But I think that's good to like just throw them out there. I mean, there was a I forget his name, the Asian guy in the debates. He was talking about
Andrew Yang.
giving everyone $1,000. Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, I went and saw him in Austin.
Okay, right on. And then what's his face? The bald guy, the other black guy.
Oh, Cory Booker.
Cory Booker. Yeah, he's talking about starting a fund for newborns. You put $1,000 a year in this fund for them. I think that's pretty brilliant. I've been listening to a lot of books, audio books on stock investing and just retirement, IRAs, stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it would mean a lot of big difference to a lot of people if they could get out of high school or get out of college and already have $1,000 a month going into some kind of fund for them. And when they get out, they've got some money to work with. I'm not saying it's you're definitely giving some money away to people, which is people are not going to like. But I think there's different ways to do it, and I think that's one of the more productive ways. And there should maybe be some sort of debt you pay to society to get that money, whether it be some kind of military service, or if you can't go overseas or if you can't join the military, do some kind of service. I don't know. I know that's not what you want to hear on this podcast.
No.
But these are ideas at least that people are bringing up that I think like I said, if they get shot down, they never work out, and if they are terrible ideas, they'll get weeded out, hopefully. But I think it's cool to like learn about things and shoot different ideas off of each other,
Well, yeah, and it helps, I think, when you are hearing a bunch of different ideas, and then you can recognize, like, oh no, that idea sucks.
Right.
You can just hear it right off the bat and be like, no, that that's not helping anything.
Right.
Like, that's not going to cause. And that's been the interesting thing too about it. For a lot of these is like, okay, I'm hearing a problem. Well, one of the things that kind of bothered me most, or seemed to most distressing or disturbing to me during the Democrat debates, is not once was the debt brought up. And it's like, you're suggesting a lot of ideas that are going to cost a lot of money.
People always seem to forget about that
and
debt.
You're not bringing up any sort of way in which we're going to offset these costs, and any sort of way in which we're going to start tackling that debt. Because eventually, like, that's the people. There's always this weird quote that a lot of people say. They're like, dude, balancing a nation's budget isn't the same as balancing yours. I was like, okay, but if you're always spending more than you bring in, like, that's gonna come back, like, that can't go on perpetually. Like, I don't care if it's not the same.
One magical year where you covered the last 30. No, I hear you, man. There's a lot of things they leave out of those debates because, in all honesty, I think especially like the beginning stages of those debates, they're fucking stupid. Yeah. Like, there's no need to hear 10 people. What 10 people have to say 2 nights in a row. Like, I get it. We're weeding these people out, but man, they're all just getting up there and they got this speech prepared, and they whether or not it makes sense to say it, they say it.
Well, that's the thing. You have to, at that point, when it's this many people, you have to make known what your thing is. Because if you don't, then you're gonna not be focused on that. I think we saw that, like, aside from the front runners, like, they gave the front runners a ton of time. Sure. Like, you could tell who they want to be moving on. So like, it didn't matter. Like, it wasn't important for Biden or Bernie or Elizabeth Warren to, like, this is what I'm about, because they get to talk as much as they want. Right. But like, like somebody like Tulsi, like, she made it very clear, like, she got asked about the wage gap and she didn't talk about it at all. She talked about the warfare state and, like, ending it. Like, that's her thing. That's what she's about. And then, like, and that's, I think, one of the things that separates people apart is, like, okay, and Kristen Gillibrand was kind of trying to do the same thing. I don't think it worked as well. But she was all about the women's
public. Oh, go ahead.
She kept bringing up the like publicly funded elections.
Okay.
She kept bringing that up over and over.
One of the
like,
women, I don't know if it was her or I think it was her though. She kept bringing up women's rights, which great, yeah, of course. But like that's like the only thing she brought up. I was
that
like,
might have
geez.
been Kristen Gillard.
But there was the one dude, the young dude. he was kind of a jabroni.
Oh, he's gone now. Swalwell, I think. Yeah.
He kept saying the corniest shit, dude. He was like, Biden. He said he needed to pass the torch, and he was right. Pass the torch.
Did you ever see? There's a video of him. He was doing like a campaign speech. I don't know, maybe like a month ago. I can't remember where it was, but he's like, "I'm gonna be bold without the bull." And then you could tell he's like waiting for a bunch of people to cheer, and nobody does.
Like, were we supposed to respond to that?
Yeah, he's
the bull. Cool.
He's the same guy who said, because he's super, like he's not only like wanting more gun laws, like he wants confiscation.
Right. Yeah, he's a big gun guy. Anti-gun.
And
guy.
so he was saying something along those lines. He's tweeting something about that, and people were like, "Well, that's how you get armed revolt." Like when people don't want to give up their guns and you're trying to confiscate them. And he was like, well, the United States government has nukes, so good luck with that. It's like, oh, so you're just going to nuke people? Like
the country.
Dude, like, what are you talking about?
You know, and I do apologize for going back to Trump on this one, but I do want to be on the record for this because this is one thing that's bothered me more than any about him and about my family has basically been brainwashed by him.
Yeah.
Some of them. And one of the big things that they harped on for 8 years of Obama was like, Obama's going to come take our guns. He's going to take our guns. There's literally, you can look it up.
Oh, yeah.
Trump literally said, I don't know, let's just go take everyone's guns.
Yeah.
Talking to, like...
No, he was like, take them first and then go due process. It's like, that's not even what due process is.
Okay, so I just want to be on the record for putting that out there.
Oh, yeah.
For any family member of mine that listens to this. Like, go watch that video. And the thing that you got so upset about for 8 years, you almost had a heart attack, like, about Obama over this. And then your guy literally says what Obama never said.
Well, not only did he say that, he's done more to enforce gun control than Obama ever did. Like, Obama didn't do a whole lot in the way of increasing or decreasing gun control. It remained pretty status quo during those 8 years. But Trump has already done multiple things as far as increasing the scope of gun control. So that's a really interesting one with like Trump supporters where you really see I think a lot of them are just, I think it's
about natural. Owning the libs.
It's about that, but I think it's natural with this like polarization of our politics where you're just like, that's your team member, so you can't question them. Because it's like, I like with the immigration thing, like I bring it up constantly. They're like, look, I get it, and I hate what's going on too, but like Obama separated over 90,000 children from their families. So it's like, this isn't a new thing if you've been paying attention. It's just new to you right now. So it's like, you know, there's a lack of criticism of when it's your guy, you don't want to like come down on them super hard.
Sure.
Whereas like the rest of like for me and a lot of people in the movement, it's like, no, I hate all these people, so I'm going to criticize everything that they do.
Right.
That's wrong.
That's a pretty safe bet.
So it's just I think but it is really interesting with like Trump supporters. There's a guy, Eric July. He's a libertarian guy, and he posted out this tweet last night that was super funny. It was like, in quotes, it was like, "Look, I don't support Trump and everything that he does, but fuck you, and I'm going to defend everything that he does." And then he was like, "Most Trump supporters," and I was like, dude, that's kind of spot on.
Yeah,
how it is, where it's like, I don't really know about this particular thing, but if you criticize it, I'm going to come at you.
And the more time that passes, you know, the more into it you are, and you can't no backing out now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're with him, if you like him, you're like him. I mean,
well, and then the crazy thing too is it's like you can start like brainwashing yourself. If you're like, I don't really know about this particular thing that he's doing, or I don't necessarily support it, and then you start defending it because the other team is criticizing it, then you start like tacitly supporting it. And next thing you know, it's like this thing that you weren't necessarily a fan of. You're now like the biggest proponent of. And No, it's super interesting. The Democratic debates were, I don't know. It's just there's certain one like I like Tulsi a lot. Mostly, like I don't like anything that she talks about domestically, but she's anti-war, and we need that.
Sure. Yeah.
Badly. Right
That is definitely something that whoever's coming in next. 'Cause it seems like Trump doesn't want to go to war. It seems like he's pretty complacent. Like, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. We would know if he did. Let's just put it that way.
I think so. Like and I think he's not super interested in ending the wars that he was talking about ending either. But at least he hasn't yet started a new one.
Right.
So that's a positive in that small regard.
Even though he was going to launch that strike on Iran last week until he asked, how many people will die in this?
Yeah. Although,
150, sir. Pull out.
Yeah. I really, honestly though, I liked that a lot.
Sure.
Because I was like, that's something presidents should be asking. And again, this is that pulling back of the curtain. Like, no other president would talk about what their game time decision on the military strike was.
Right. You know, whether or not it's probably true or not.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
But yeah, you're right. The actual him describing the moments leading up to it. You don't hear that.
Yeah, which again is probably not best for operational security from a military standpoint, but it is like a fascinating thing, and I mean, for me, that's kind of been the biggest part of the Trump presidency is, trying to tell people like, look, if you're really upset right now, and if you're really uncomfortable with this individual holding this kind of power. It's like, this isn't just a we need to get our guy in there thing. Like, it's just we need to start changing what is going on.
Sure.
And that if something like this could happen, and this guy who some describe as like literally Hitler, if he can get voted into office in the United States, then maybe we should start working towards limiting what actual kind of power he would have if this is something that could happen.
Sure.
Because you can say like, oh, we just need to get our guy in there, but look, you had your guy, like Obama was like the savior, and you had him for 8 years, and then this is what came immediately afterwards. Like,
sure.
Even if you get your guy back in, there's no guarantee that that's going to stay.
Yeah, and things have changed, man. Things have changed, probably forever.
I think so. Because I was like, dude, going through school at that time, and just everything Trump was doing, it was just like, okay, this is where the campaign unravels and falls apart, and it just didn't.
You kept thinking, all right, this is it, and there's still some things that come up. I'm like, all right, this is it. What was the most recent one? I can't remember, but maybe it'll come to me. But there was something recently I was like, oh man, this is it.
The Epstein thing,
like on I love on. Do you watch Last Week Tonight? John Oliver?
Sometimes, yeah.
It's so funny. Sometimes he'll say something. He goes, Trump made a spelling error in his Twitter account. He's like, which means only one thing. We got him. And he hits his button. All these balloons come out of the ceiling and people start dancing. And they're like, wait. No, we don't got him. No, we don't got him. Never mind.
Not at all. That's awesome. Yeah, it is. It's been interesting to see, like, and that's part of it too. Whenever people were like, he should be impeached, like the Mueller report comes out. And then, like, the media tried to flawlessly change gears from Russian collusion to obstruction of justice, as if, like, that's what they've been talking about for 2 years. And I was like, no, don't gaslight me. I know what we were talking about.
Right.
Like, it was never about obstruction until today, when you realize, like, that's something that we could start pushing instead. But whenever that's going on, I'm like, yeah, he should be impeached and he should be held on war crimes. Like, let's start talking about the real things that are going on instead of just, like, trying to find blame for the fact that the Democrats lost this election. I think they've made the Russia into this boogeyman because they can't handle the fact that, like, they lost to Trump. Like, that's the guy they wanted to run against.
See, I'll disagree with you a little bit there.
Yeah.
Because for me personally, the reason I don't look at Trump and think, oh, Russia got him in, so that's why I don't like him. He gives me plenty of other reasons why I don't like him, And so, I don't know. I don't think that. I don't think that's it. I think it's just he's just a terrible person.
No. I'm saying the same thing. What I'm saying is, like,
and I know you can't impeach for that.
Yeah,
but
I'm saying there's, like, legitimate, like,
Right.
What's going on in Yemen and what we're funding right now in Yemen and helping Saudi Arabia perpetuate, that's a genocide. Like, that's an impeachable offense. Right there. So, like, let's stop focusing on this Russia thing, because I'm tired of hearing about it, and there's nothing.
So you're saying like there's other international entities basically that were okay.
No,
I see what you're
I'm just saying.
saying.
There's like, if you want to talk about impeachment, I'm like, yeah, let's talk about what we can actually impeach him.
Sure.
Like the things that he's actually doing.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's more pressing issues overseas that because you hardly ever hear about that. The Saudi stuff.
No, the only time you heard about it for like a brief second when Khashoggi got killed, because like the journalists were like, oh, one of our own just got butchered and chainsawed up to death and cut open and into pieces and taken out in a trash bag. And so then they talked about it for a little bit. But now it's, dude, there's so many, like on Twitter, it's, oh man, you see these kids who are just starving to death, these pictures of these Yemenis kids. And they're eating leaves.
Right.
Like it's awful what's going on there. And it's all perpetuated by what we're allowing Saudi Arabia to do. Because we could end that tomorrow, if we wanted to, because Saudi Arabia knows, like,
why do we love Saudi Arabia so much?
Oil, and they've always worked with us. That's why. Yeah, but
that's who the hijackers were from during 9/11.
Almost all, I think 18 out of the 19 were from Saudi Arabia.
And just I don't know.
Yeah,
and this isn't a partisan thing either. I know Obama, the Bushes, Clinton, Trump, they all are in
they all love Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
But
it's a weird one, and it's just
I just think it's interesting because we're far enough into his presidency now where it's like there's no point in impeaching, but at the same time, actions need to be punished. But there's no point because once it makes it to the Senate, it's not going to fly.
Yeah, probably.
So
not.
It's like, what do you do? What's the answer, Eric?
Bring him up on war crimes would be my answer, but that's not going to happen either. You get the answer is the Democrats need to run. Man, I don't.
It's funny too, is because they. I just a brief side interjection is recently he said Trump was mentioning he couldn't be impeached because it's high crimes and misdemeanors. So he's got all the high crimes now. He didn't do any misdemeanors though. So
dude, that is one of the things about him, dude. He just talks and he just says stuff, and it's just there's sometimes where I just can't help but laugh. Where I'm just like, I mean, that's who he is. He's ridiculous. He's a ridiculous human being, and it's just I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see, because I think what's going to hurt the Democrats is how far left their candidate's going to have to go during the primary in order to get the nomination.
Right.
And I think it's going to really hurt them when it comes to the election, because if 2016 told us anything, it's that like woke Twitter and like crazy like SJW Twitter is not the pulse of the majority of the nation. And I think it's one of those things where you're running dangerously close as the Democratic Party if you go that far left to giving him a landslide.
Yeah, and one thing that scares me about them is they can't help but fight with each other in over the most mundane shit, man. And I'm afraid that's going to be their undoing.
I think so.
It's just the nitpicking. I don't know. Who do you think the nominee is going to be?
Who do I think it's going to be?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Man, it's hard to say right now because it's not going to be Biden.
You don't think it will?
I don't think so. I think he's not going to be able to go far enough left, and he doesn't have a whole, like, his past is not good. And so, like, if they bring up his past record, that's not good when he was actually, like, doing stuff.
Yeah.
So he's banking on, like, Obama.
Right.
Like, I was
I'm Obama's president. Buddy. I was in those memes, remember?
Yeah. And so, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think Bernie's going to win because he's just...
I think that I like Bernie, but I think that's kind of... That fire's died out. That passion his base had. At least they're not fired up as much as they were before.
Well, because I think they've gotten disseminated.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people out there that are also offering similar to views as Bernie.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people are
that,
taking
like-
on his health care,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of that was his
So-
big thing.
I think it's probably, although, and that's the thing too. Like excuse me. Elizabeth Warren seems to be a darling of the establishment right now.
Mm-hmm.
She raised a ton of money in this last quarter. It's
Mm-hmm.
like
She's got a
20-something.
ton of policies too. She's a policy
She does.
machine.
She does. I don't obviously agree with pretty much any of them. They're all like, we're just gonna spend money
Sure.
on this thing, and it's again, where is the money gonna come from? How are
Right.
we gonna tackle the debt? Like it's, you can't just. And for me, I'm like, I don't want to give the government more money at all because they're 22 trillion in debt. Like, why would I trust that entity with any more money? That's like giving a college kid a bunch of credit cards. They've maxed out 7 of them. You're their parent. You're like, well, here's another one.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right.
like you haven't paid down any of the other ones, but I'll let you keep ringing up some debt. I don't know. It's gonna be. I would think maybe Warren, maybe Mayor Pete. He's raised a ton of money too.
Mhm.
Although he's getting that, and like you were saying, they can't help eating each other. I've read articles where it's like, yeah, he's gay, but is he the right kind of gay? And he's also a white male. So it's like, dude, what are you
Is he the
talking
right
about?
kinda gay?
like, what does that mean?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, is there there's a wrong kind of gay? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I could see either Warren or him dude. He would be come out of nowhere story for sure, which people like.
Yeah, no,
So-
for sure. And like I said, I like Tulsi a lot. I think she would be formidable.
I know Kamala Harris kind of stood out in this last debate as she kind of made her.
I think it would be a guaranteed loss if they run her because she's basically just Hillary.
Sure. I'm
Same type
not saying
person.
she would beat Trump. I'm just saying I think.
Oh no, well yeah,
People liked her a lot more after because she had the most little quippy.
yeah.
People,
No, she had
what
those
was the
little-
one? She's like, American people don't want to see us having a food fight. They want to see us put food on the table.
Yeah.
Like,
and
oh
then
my
like
God.
45 minutes later goes at Biden out of nowhere for
Yep.
no reason.
Yep.
It just is like, I don't think you're racist, but I'm going to tell you how you're racist. Like,
That's almost saying well, I'm not a racist, but
yeah, it's the same thing. I don't think you're racist.
It's the inverse.
But, and it's just, and she's, I loathe her. I think she's a horrible human being based off of what she did as an attorney general in California. So it's just funny hearing her talk about like the
That's right. She's from your hood.
Yeah, the separations at the border, and she's talking about separating families and children, and I'm like, dude, you bragged about truancy laws in California and locking up parents if their kids didn't go to school, and you're gonna talk about separating families at the border, dude?
That's some inside information there.
Well, that's
Some
California.
California stuff.
Well, no, I mean, and it started to come out, which is good. Or like she was on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne.
Oh yeah.
And and bragging about smoking weed when she threw so many people in jail in California for weed.
Right.
And it's just like, dude, I mean, so you can't trust this. It's like Hillary. You can't trust anything that she's saying because she might try. Hillary was huge on pushing the Defense of Marriage Act. And then in 2016, when that Supreme Court decision comes down, she's cheering and applauding like, "Oh, this is a great day for gay rights." It's like, dude, you've been fighting gay rights your whole career.
She wasn't very good. There was, man, that was just crazy.
I can't.
We
believe
could have had Bernie. We could have had Bernie out there at least. Like, I don't know, just
Yeah,
at least for the
he would've
nominee.
won for sure,
Huh?
but he would have been.
That's what I'm saying. At least, like, I don't
stole
know.
that from him.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
It is,
And it came
Straight up.
out like, and people again are just like, that's why it's crazy about the Russia thing. It's like, dude, there's so many things that made Trump win that election, and I don't think the 30 some odd dollars that Russia spent on Facebook ads is what swung the election for Trump. I think there's a lot. With Hillary forgot about Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Ohio, like,
And she's
it's a big
just
reason.
like you were just saying. She's just lame, man. She was just so lame. Just like, I know politicians flip flop, but they're not usually so like, I don't know. She's just so obvious, and her execution was just never. It was never to my liking. I don't know. I don't dislike her, but I just don't like her as a candidate. I don't think she created AIDS.
I don't think she created AIDS. She created a lot of other problems. I just, that was kind of the interesting thing during that election. I was trying to explain to people, we'd be hanging out. Austin's obviously a very liberal place for the most part. And so, people would just be like, I can't understand how anybody could support Trump or like what he's saying or like anything about it. And I'm just like, dude, I get that. But at the same time, how you feel about Trump is exactly how I and a ton of people feel about Hillary.
Right.
Like, it's the exact same feeling.
And Austin, dude, Austin's a bubble. I think this every time I go back home to Louisiana. It's only 5 hours away, but like when I go back to Louisiana, it feels like the rest of America. It's like this is what America is. Like it's chain restaurants. It's like people like they want to be comfortable. They know what brands they like. They know what car they want to drive. And they know. And Trump was, he's been on their TV for 30 years.
Yeah.
So and then.
And he was saying things like it, and that's the interesting thing too about it is like Trump and Bernie were very similar candidates in the fact that they were like anti-establishment. They represented a break from the norm.
Right.
And people are hungry for that right now because they're like, what we've been doing ain't working. And the same old ain't the answer. And so they sought that out. And that's what's interesting too. Like, I listened to a few different comedians podcasts and they talk about the election. They're like, dude, any comedian that was touring knew Trump was winning that election. Right. Like, any comedian that was just staying in LA or New York had no idea. They were shocked by it. But if you were touring the country, you knew.
Yep. Dude, Bill Maher talked about that on his show for like a year and a half. People would go in there and just be like, we got it. Like, and the crowd would cheer. Woo! And he's like, I don't think we got it, guys. Like, you need to go out and vote. And so, I guess that's the gist of all this is go vote, kids.
Or don't. You don't have to.
Or don't.
We're big on that. We're libertarian here.
Make your own choice.
Yeah, do what you want to do. Not voting. Well, that's the kind of thing that we've talked about, too, because it's a big thing within the libertarian movement. And within, like, the greater liberty movement is, like, the idea of, like, not voting as, like, not participating in the system.
Like a stance,
that we disagree with so much, which I get. Although I feel like turning in a blank ballot would say more. Because it's like, I'm just not participating. They don't care. There's a tiny percent of the population that votes. It's like, 40% or whatever. Yeah. So that's not telling them anything. But if you turn in a blank ballot, that's you saying, hey, Jelly Bean? No, ma'am. That's you saying, like, look, I'm saying no to all of your choices. That's what I'm telling you. That's just, what are you barking at?
Shut up.
She's a little lady.
She's trying to protect us.
I don't know what you're protecting us from. There's nothing out there. So it's gonna be interesting. So who would you say you like the most? Mayor Pete coming out of those first debates?
Yeah, I like Mayor Pete. He doesn't have a ton of policy. I'd like to, I'm sure he's gonna be releasing that over the course of the next few months. I just think I base, a lot on my initial reaction, which may or may not be the best idea, but. I listen to their policies and break it down over time. We got plenty of time for the election comes, but as of right now, man, he seems the most sincere. He's obviously extremely smart. Yeah. He's a veteran, and he's even though he's a white man, he's still got a somewhat of a minority status, being the wrong kind of gay.
Yeah, right. It's that just sounds exhausting to be that concerned with identity politics. Like, dude,
it does sound exhausting, man.
I just can't even imagine talking about that or Well, what's funny too is that Beto Robert hasn't gotten any crap about he's Irish. Yeah, he's running off this trying to almost portray a Hispanic. It's the same Rafael Cruz, Ted Cruz.
Oh yeah.
Likes to try to play up to being white even though he's not.
Ted Cruz, dude.
Yeah, I've decided I'm not going to refer to them as anything but Raphael and Robert from now on. Cause I'm not calling you by your stupid race-baiting nickname. I'm not playing into your game anymore.
Lion Ted Cruz.
I think they said Robert will probably make it to the next debate. Tulsi needs to get 2% in one more poll, and then I think she needs to get.
So is this
couple
next
thousand
debate?
more.
Are they going to cut it? Can they cut it in half? Can it be like
Yeah.
the first episode of The
It'll
Bachelor?
It'll be. I think. I mean, you have to have like 100 some odd thousand unique donors, and poll at least 2% in 3 national polls,
Yeah.
and then you're allowed. So it's going to cut out a lot of those people.
Can they just invite the Crystal Lady back?
Dude, I
no
want
matter
her
what?
back so much, dude. She was so
We're
entertaining.
gonna fight Donald Trump with love.
Dude, she was like, I called her like a drunk wine mom. Dude. She was just like,
I mean, I like her attitude.
I did, yeah. And it was an interesting thing. One of the things that she said that really made me pop was like, just because the government's doing it doesn't make it not illegal. And I was like, dude, that's something we need to be
There you
hearing a
go.
lot more.
There
I
you
can
go.
get down with that. That's a libertarian stance right there. And then she got into the. Did she mention crystals at all, or is that just
No, I
something
think
the
that's just
internet
kind of
did?
the
Yeah.
vibe
That's
that
what-
everyone's taking on.
Yeah, because it super is for sure. But I was just like, did she actually mention it?
No,
'Cause that
she.
would make
The
it even
thing she
better.
actually mentioned was that we aren't going to win. We aren't going to beat Donald Trump with. It's like something. We're not going to beat him with. I think policies
I think
or
she said
ideas.
something like that. Yeah,
Something
yeah, yeah.
like that you clearly need.
Yeah.
She said we're going to beat him with love.
Yeah. Well, and like, I don't necessarily agree, but I see where her point was coming from because like he didn't run on policy,
Sure.
so at all.
Yeah. No. I totally get it. I totally get it. But,
no,
you know,
she was.
I just don't. I don't think she's gonna make it though.
I guess she was like an advisor to Oprah or something.
See, now Oprah
Previously?
needs to run.
Do we really need another billionaire running? I've heard Mark Cuban wants to run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Well, anyone can run now. It's
oh for sure.
the door's wide open.
Well, that's the thing, and yeah,
Jelly Bean 2020.
it's great. Yeah, I'd vote for Jelly Bean.
Yeah.
She'd be a great president. She's a little lady. She's protective and loving. She'd get Marianne Williamson's vote for sure. Yeah, so that's good stuff. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. What the election's gonna hold come 2020.
So what do the libertarians got? We've been talking about Trump. We talked about the Democrats.
Yeah.
Let's.
So we only have a few people announced so far, but I mean it's still like
Sure.
it's even more condensed for the Libertarian Party. Like
Sure.
None of our people are gonna have the money to be, going around for any extended amount of time beforehand. So right now, John McAfee's running again. He's running in exile. So he's going to
wow.
be sending surrogates because he like one day he just decided on Twitter, he's like, you know what? I haven't paid taxes or haven't filed taxes in 8 years. He's like, because I haven't worked in 8 years. He's just been living off the money that he made.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he's not even involved in McAfee antivirus at all anymore.
Sure,
He's
no,
just
I would
just
chill,
coasting
too.
off that money. Yeah. So he's like, I'm not paying taxes. I haven't earned anything. Like you don't just take what I've got.
Right,
Like,
right.
And so he announced that, and so he's in Cuba right now, just hanging out, just boat hopping all around the Caribbean.
Hell yeah, dude. What a life.
So, yeah.
I wouldn't even worry about politics
Right?
at that point. Jeez.
Yeah.
He's just doing it for
He's
fun.
living the dream. So he's one of them. We got a gentleman named Adam Kokesh. He's a veteran. He was a Marine. Served in Afghanistan. So he's running off of a localization platform. Of
Okay.
Like,
Support your local business. Or-
localizing government too.
Okay.
Like giving them, like reducing the size and the scope and the power of the federal government, because state and then more primarily local governments should be having more of a role in everything. So his is actually like interesting because he's saying he's gonna pretty much like abolish the executive branch the first day he gets into office, so that there's not a federal government anymore. And
So he's gonna become president and just be not president.
Yeah,
instantly?
exactly.
And then there's never gonna be
no,
a
that's
president
actually
again?
his slogan is running for not president, which is interesting. So it's funny because and that's how it's
It's
going to get
actually pretty badass.
It is, and it's actually, I mean, it's going to get portrayed like as ridiculous,
Of course.
and
But
because when the idea behind it and like what the actual goal is. It's not like just a like state of anarchy overnight.
Right.
It's like, no, now the state and the local governments are going to handle things, and there's not going to be this federal oversight and overreach. So when he actually has a chance to explain it, it doesn't sound so far-fetched and so crazy. Still pretty far-fetched, but it doesn't sound
Oh yeah, when you
out
condense
there.
it down into like 2 or 3 sentences.
Yeah, exactly, and that's how it's going to be portrayed. So his is but what's going to be interesting to watch is what Justin Amash does.
Oh yeah,
He just declared independence from the Republican Party, and so he's an independent now.
So what does that involve? Does he just remain at his post?
Yeah.
Okay. And
So he's not.
What about the people that voted
got an
for
I
him?
next to his name.
What about the people that voted for him?
As far as what? What do you mean?
I mean, he's like, all right, I'm not Republican anymore. A lot of these people who voted for him are like, well, I'm a lifelong Republican.
Yeah. So that's what's going to be interesting to watch, because so his district was getting gerrymandered, and then he was going to be. They were saying they were going to primary him, basically just not support him at all, so that his opponent in the primary gets the spot and gets to run. So that's I think part of the reason. There's no doubt, like he's a like bold individual. He takes a lot of stances and votes a lot of ways that are libertarian, but like also outside of the beaten path of Congress. So he takes a lot of stances, and he's a very principled individual. But I think it's not just like him taking the principled stance on this one. It's also very strategic in what he's doing right now from a political standpoint. So if he wants to try to seek re-election in his congressional district, I would imagine he would just remain an independent, because then he might still be able to get, because there's a lot of Republicans who don't like Trump all that much.
Sure.
So he might still be able to get those certain Republicans that don't like Trump, so they're like, I get why you did what you did, and I like you, so I'm going to still vote for you. Whereas if he went independent, or if he went libertarian and were to run in that district again, people might view that as like a betrayal. Like, you went to a different party, you're not just running independently. But if he wants to run for president, I would imagine he's going to switch to the Libertarians, because we have a lot of infrastructure. It's so hard to get on the ballot for president. So he would waste so much time and energy and money on trying to get on the ballot as an independent. Whereas, like, if he runs with us, he's probably going to be on it, most likely in all 50 states. Like, we still have a little bit of, like, headway that we have to make with retaining ballot access in a few states, but most likely he'll be on all 50. So he would just have to convince a couple hundred libertarians to vote for him at the national convention.
Okay.
Which is actually going to be here in Austin next year.
Oh, nice.
So I don't have to travel at all, which is going to be nice.
Where's it going to be?
At the JW Marriott.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah, swanky. So that'll be it'll be interesting to see kind of what we do, and but we're trying to focus more on, like, we've had a few libertarians win races throughout the country, like smaller type races, local, and we haven't actually had somebody win like a state rep seat, but we have state reps who have converted, like they've left the Republican Party and become libertarians.
Oh wow.
So
Tricksters.
Right. And they've won re-elections, so that'll be so that's kind of the focus.
Sure.
Because it's one more impactful, and two, it's like we've got to start building the belief that we can actually win elections.
That someone else, besides Republican and Democrat can.
Exactly. Because that's something that we get a lot, is like, oh, I like a lot of libertarian ideas, but y'all can't win.
Oh, I mean, that's probably,
And it makes sense. I mean, yeah. And part of it, so presidential-wise, what I want is just, like, somebody bold enough to be, like, unabashedly libertarian. Like,
Sure.
Gary Johnson was trying too hard to play, like, the moderate choice, like the, like, logical, like, hey, I'm this guy in the middle that you probably want to look for.
Right. And like I said earlier, it's changed, it's not gonna, a guy can go out there and be like, I'm super libertarian now, because we've seen that. You throw shit at a wall enough that something's gonna stick.
Yeah, for sure. And then and you've got to be bold. Like, people aren't wishy-washy stuff isn't especially from our movement, isn't going to be changing minds. So, don't hold back on the government type stuff and be super
and
critical.
I think people it's a lot easier to keep up with people's flip-floppiness. You know what I mean? Like, because people are, if you flip-flop, Twitter's going to tear you a new asshole.
Yeah.
Or the internet in general, you're going to find out, I don't know. That's just...
Well, the thing is, too, is it's like you can... Like, flip-flopping happen... Like, that can happen naturally. Like, my views changed. Like, I became more aware of something, and then their track record can show it. But you can also... I think what you can do now is, like, actually pinpoint... Like, okay, this is when the flip happened. Was there any, like, mitigating circumstances that caused this?
Exactly. That's a great point.
It's like, okay, did they change because they believed it, or did public opinion sway so much with people they're concerned with voting for them that they made the change? So I think that was weird. Power went out for, like, a brief second. Everything.
Are we good? We're good over
here?
Good here. Hey.
Just kicked onto the battery.
I saw that. I was like, oh, shit, are we going to start over? We have to remember all of that?
Yeah, right? We're going to have to go word for word back what we just said. So it'll be interesting, but we're growing. We're a growing party. We're the only growing party.
Nice.
At
Good.
the moment. Or the fastest. I don't know if the Greens are growing or not. But
I don't know any Greens, I'll tell you that.
I know a couple. They're good people. But them, I like, people knock on libertarians for drawing votes, but we tend to draw equally from Democrats and Republicans. Whereas, like, Greens, I'm like, yeah, you're just drawing from Democrats. Like, there's no Republicans that are voting for a Green Party candidate. So it's an uphill battle they have to face for sure. Because it's like, yeah, we're a lot like the Democrats, but just, like, more extreme. And then a lot of their ideas are getting hijacked by the Democrats right now anyway.
Right.
So it's like, what's the point in having that separate party when you have Democrats who are running as if they're Green Party candidates right now? It's being the third party is rough. Third party is real rough.
What do you think, Jelly Bean?
Jelly Bean.
She doesn't know.
She's a great lady. So we're about 1 hour and 20 now.
Oh, sweet.
So we don't have any hard cutoffs, but we can talk a little bit more about promoting the business, and for anybody here listening in the Austin area, what you can do or what you want, how the best to contact you.
If you're moving, want your TV mounted, or if you're not moving, just get a lot of movers. Looking to upgrade your audio system or install an audio system, it's or any kind of home automation. It's a lot cheaper than you may think, especially if you tell them you heard it here on the Sovereign Individual podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Get that discount, son. Give us a shout. Bat City TV.
Yeah, Bat City TV.
BatCityTV.com. Follow us, Bat City TV. Install on the Devil's
on Instagram.
on
Instagram. I haven't seen a dog of the week in a minute.
Man, it's so hard to keep up with that stuff.
I
just don't like it. It's
I'm 100% there.
There's so much stuff to do without like. I already have to take pictures of the stuff we do and like put it on websites and this and that, and then like I got to go on Instagram and filter it and come up with something catchy like stupid ass shit.
And speaking of which, I just took a picture of Adam right now because I'm like, oh yeah, I should post this on to the Devil's Workshop of Instagram. It is like I trying to promote because I want this to grow and I want more people to listen, and like it would be great to make some money off of this podcast at some point. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, I have to actually like post stuff and like try to be smart about how I post stuff.
And you gotta be nice.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I'm used to just like, if there's something that I feel like posting about, then I'm gonna post, and it's probably gonna be talking shit about the government. Right. So like that's what I'm used to, which wouldn't be wrong in this podcast, but I'm just like, it's an extra thing to think about. And I'm like, man, I get why people have like social media teams or like social media handlers, because it's just like, dude, I I don't like most of it.
Right.
And like Instagram, especially, I'm like, dude, what? I don't know what to post, dude. Like, if I was a chick, I'd just show my butt, and then I'd get like 1 million followers. But like, man.
Oh no, you can still show your butt.
Oh yeah, mine's much smaller. I don't know how many followers. I'd lose followers probably. But yeah, so yeah, if you even just want to like upgrade, because y'all do a great job of hiding the wires and stuff.
Yeah, that's our big thing. Is we know people don't want wiry mess. Even if you rent. We'll hide the wires for you. Like Eric's, there's no wires showing. I'm looking here.
No, it looks great.
Yeah.
It looks great. We gotta get one of the ones that come out though.
Oh, he wants to swivel mount.
Kate can see when she's
fun
cooking.
with it.
Yeah, swivel mounts. Y'all do all that
We'll
kind
do it
of
all,
stuff.
man.
What's the biggest TV you've hung up?
86 inch.
Damn.
Yeah.
86 inches.
Ridiculous.
How big is that wall? Like, it
It
had to be a good size
decent
wall, I would
sized
imagine.
wall. Decent sized wall. The guy actually had like speakers built into it too. It was a
Man.
nightmare.
Oh,
It was a
that's
nightmare.
insane. 86. That's got to be. Man, have y'all done, or like, are you worried about the roll-on like sticky things, the sticky like TVs? Have you seen those?
No.
Oh, they're like you basically like just roll it out onto the wall.
So you're telling me I'm out of business?
That's why I was asking. I was like, does that scare you? I mean, they're like $12,000, so it's not going to be a risk anytime soon.
I'll be the first one to install those. That's how it works, man. Like, these things come out, and like, see, you're telling me now, someone will have eventually told me, or like been like, hey, I got one of these TVs, and I'd look it up and be like, huh, okay.
Figure out how to do
yeah,
it.
and you just
Because that's the thing too. You're not just solely TVs. Like, okay, that takes out the hanging up the TV part. Cool. Now let's focus on your sound stuff.
Oh yeah, no, we do custom work. Each customer gets gets my input on everything. And I did the math the other day. I've hung over 4,000 TVs.
Damn. That's a lot of TVs.
So I know what's going on in your wall.
It's a lot of TVs. No, it's great. It is. It's a cool thing, and it's cool that y'all just kind of like. I know Craig just kind of started doing it just to do it, and then like y'all learned it along the way.
Yeah,
it's such a cool thing.
And there's apps now where, like, for example, there's one right now. I got a ping 25 minutes ago to go do a job if I want to take it. It's kind of like Uber style. Just go do it. Yeah, it's pretty dope. It's cool. Yeah, so even if I didn't have a business, the work would be there. If I went and did something else, there's always that as an option, as like a side hustle or just whatever.
That's awesome, man. That's real great.
Yeah.
So well, I appreciate you coming out today.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. It was fun. It's a little nervous. I was like, what are we gonna talk about? But once you get going,
man, it's easy. Just kind of let the conversation go.
Yeah,
we hit on most of the things that I wanted to hit on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so one last time, batcitytv.com, right?
batcitytv.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We're on those, but
gotta get on Twitter too, man.
Yeah, I'll get on Twitter. Yeah, make some noise on Twitter.
Yeah, it's a fun one to be a part of. So, thanks again, Adam and Jellybean. Thank you for barking and protecting us at different times today. You're looking mighty cute, looking out that window. I don't know what she's doing right now, but yeah,
little doggy dreams.
Thanks again, Adam. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks again for listening, y'all, and y'all have a good one.